Okay, guys. Okay, so welcome back, guys, to Chess Ting. Today we are playing pjw43, who's 1707. Today I'm going to go for e6, the French defense. d4, trying to gain a foothold in the center, but not too much of a threat here. Let's go d5 and try to challenge the center. Takes. Now we can recapture with the queen or the pawn. Trouble with recapturing with the queen is that they have c4 with the pawn, so let's go with the pawn, keep that foothold in the center. Bishop d3, hitting on h7, which is already defending, developing the bishop on the diagonal. No threat as of here, so I'm going to play knight to f6, developing another piece. I hope you guys are well, and if you're not already subscribed, then please subscribe to my channel. I would love to get as many of you on board as possible. Knight f3, so defending the pawn, getting a stronger grip on e5, but not threatening anything in particular. Bear in mind I don't want to play c5 because I'd like to keep this guy joined with the pawns. Okay, so I can play bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, g4, bishop g6, and then exchange. But maybe I should develop my dark square bishop, preparing for castling. Bishop b4 check is kind of a waste of time because c3 and it's got to retreat back. Now I can play to e7 or d6. If I play bishop d6, then bishop g5 is kind of annoying, but I don't feel like white's going to have any way to utilize that. So let's go bishop d6. So we have a symmetrical position here, and white castles. I think it makes sense for me to do the same. Okay, so an interesting position here, perfectly symmetrical. I'm doing okay on time. Obviously he is a higher rated player, which may make things a little more difficult. But let's see how he responds here. So potential moves he's got is bishop g5, which I don't think is very good. He has pawn c3, knight c3, knight d2. Be interesting to see what he plans to do in this position. Okay, bishop g5 is played. Yeah, so I don't believe he can really make use of this, and I can gain a tempo with h6, also allowing a breathing space for my king later on when back rank might become an issue. So let's play it now whilst the tempo is there. h6 and bishop g5. Okay. Now g5 is not a move that I'm considering. Okay. So now I'm thinking maybe knight d7, knight f8, then knight g6, and get the knight on the king side, and have c6 in position. Might be quite nice. So I'm going to go knight d7, I think, and then play c6. Yeah, and we'll find the place for the light square bishop later on in the game. Okay, so let's go knight d7. c6, and then maybe something, pawn c6, and then maybe something like queen b6. So he's played knight d2. Is this threatening anything? He can bring the knight to b3. That's not too much of a worry, so let's continue with my plan of c6 and then maybe queen c7 or queen b6. And also like to get my rook on e8 at some point. I can play rook e8 now and quickly get the knight to f8 before I play c6. Let's do that. So rook to e8, and then if he plays rook e1, let's maybe take things slow here. Let's go c6 first. Okay, he replies with c3. So he's also released his queen on that new diagonal, maybe planning queen c2. We can go rook e8 now as a possibility, or maybe even b6, and then plan to bring the bishop to b7. Let's go rook e8 first, and if rook e1, we are in a bit of a predicament there. Okay, I think because the knight has to stay on d7 to defend that knight in order to release the queen, I'm going to have to develop the bishop on b7. So I'm going to play b6. Queen c2. So an interesting move. Okay, now I'm going to go bishop to b7. Let's get the bishop just off the back rank. It's a horrible square for it to develop to, but I hope later on I can utilize that square. Okay, bishop to f4, f5. So planning on bishop takes d7. Okay, it's a very good move. Okay, so at this point I can play queen c7, so that I'm then able to play knight takes d7. So also connecting my rooks, this seems sensible. So let's go ahead with that. Okay, bishop to g3. I don't think I'm going to worry about that too much. I mean, I can double his pawns. That would be an advantage. Then I would open up his A file also. Sorry, his F file. I will open up his F file if I do that. So This is an interesting one. Bishop takes, then he can play H takes, or he can play F takes. And maybe I'm actually helping him there. So I'm going to leave that. I'm just going to continue development, get these rooks out now. And finally play rook to E8 with a nice open file. Okay, and he responds the same. Now I could play knight E4 here. Could be an interesting move, although that loses a pawn. So I won't be playing that. Yeah, I'm not concerned about the rook exchange, so in fact let's improve my light square bishop. We can push C5 now. Let's push on. Let's push through with C5. Okay, bishop takes, simple exchange. Queen takes, and pawn takes. Okay, so we've got a decision here. Recapture with the queen, the knight, or the pawn. Now, if I recapture with a piece, it means we have an isolated pawn in the centre, which could be interesting. I don't like recapturing with the queen because of b4 gaining tempo and then me having to retreat. And if I recapture with the knight, I'm not sure if the knight has good prospects on that c5 square. I'm not sure if it's entirely useful, although it could be more useful than where it is now, and it would keep an open file on the C file, which is much better than the B file, I think. So yeah, knight takes C5, B4. Can I play knight E4? I can. That might be the thing to do, actually. It would improve the knight a lot, so it does produce an isolated pawn, but I think we can keep that strong. It's either have it, otherwise I'll have an isolated pawn on the outside. Yeah, I like to keep the C file open, so let's play knight takes. And I'm hoping at some point I can get one of these knights to E4 and get a strong foothold in the centre. Okay, knight B3. So attacking the knight. That's interesting. Now we could play knight to E4 now. I feel like it's a great opportunity. Basically, knight B3 also threatens knight to D4, bringing the knight to D4, so we have to just be wary of that. But let's get a strong foothold in the central squares. Okay, bishop takes. Now we can recapture with the pawn. That could be beneficial. That could be interesting. Okay. Pawn takes, but then rook to D1 gains a tempo. Okay. Let's go knight takes. get the knight into the game as forward as possible. Just got to watch my time. Obviously, time is an issue here. Okay, knight d4. So threatening either knight b4 or knight f4. Now if either of those happen, I'll just have to move my queen, or I can play queen d7 now. I could play queen d7 now. And yeah, also looking to get my rook on into the game. So if I play rook c8, he then does have that. So let's play queen d7, just to guard against. Maybe that's not the best move. Okay, let's play queen d7 or a6. Let's go a6. It's a slow move, but it keeps the knight coming to b4, and it does release the rook at any point. I'd rather put something forward than drop the queen backwards, if that makes sense. So he can still play knight f4, but after this I can play something like queen e5. Okay, so pawn f3, threatening the knight. We've got knight g5, knight c5, and knight f6. I think f6 might be the best option. Yeah, reconsolidate the knight. And let's just put this as an auto move if he captures here. Okay, queen to f2. Interesting. So maybe planning knight f4. So let's advance our pieces to prevent knight f4. So let's play g6. I feel like we're in a controlled position. My only concern is the time management here. So he's not threatening anything in particular with queen f2. Maybe he's planning queen g3, in which case that would threaten our queen. But I feel like we're in a stable enough position. I probably would like to play knight d7, knight e5, then knight d3 and get a fork, and even get access to the c4 square. So we can see how that plan will go. It's a very quiet position at the moment, very strategic. But as I say, he does have a few more minutes on the clock than me. Okay, so he has played queen g3. Now this might make sense to exchange simply because it gives him a poor pawn structure. So I'm going to capture here. And now I'm going to play knight d7. And now I can play, I really would like to play the knight into e5. This would be fantastic. And then into c4. Okay, so he prevents this. But now that might have given me a chance to play back to f6. Yeah, so let's go back to f6. So now I can come into these two weak squares. I mean, e4 especially will be a really nice outpost for my knight. So let's see how this pans out. Okay, so knight to f3, threatening knight e5. But let's get in there first with knight e4, because then I can play pawn f6, keeping him out. Okay, he plays king to h2, and now we can play pawn f6, and the knight has no way of getting in. Now we can play knight d4 again, but I still have all bases covered, so we're okay. And soon I will have to get my rooks into the game. Okay, knight d4. Can't really come anywhere near me. So let's start to plan on where we can put this other rook into the game. Okay, I'm probably going to double rooks here. So let's double up on the file. Knight d4 isn't threatening anything directly. And maybe we can reposition our bishop on a6 or c8 and get it to a better post. So 3 minutes 52 left on the clock. I feel like I can definitely win this game. I have to remain careful. Okay, so g4. g5 will lose a pawn, but maybe threatening f4. So just be mindful of that. Let's carry on with our plan, double the rooks. And then maybe play bishop c8, targeting that pawn. Okay, so it's played f5. I think because he's played f5, let's keep our pawns together. We don't want a separated structure. Let's close that off. Okay, so now I would really like to play knight f2. Looks pretty strong to me. Knight f2, have an exchange of rooks. Ah, that's the reason he wanted to get f4 in. He now has that outpost on e6 for his knight. Okay. Not to worry, we can still play bishop c8 and hopefully win a pawn anyway. Although after bishop c8 he then has the other knight to d4. I'm really consolidated. Okay, that was kind of lucky he didn't play that. Now I'm ready for knight f2. Let's release the hounds, as they say. So threatening knight takes g4. Also releasing an attack on the rooks. And maybe in the future play knight d3 would be very nice. Okay, it's an exchange of the rooks. That's interesting. Now I would love to play knight takes g4 pretty soon. Okay, so we can play either we can play rook e2, but that's a little risky. Although rook e2 is an interesting move. I can play knight to d3 also. Yeah, rook e2 is aggressive, I like it. It's a little bit risky, but we always have knight to e4 check when we want. So rook e2, targeting the weak b2 pawn. I really would like to open up that bishop at some point, but I can't play d4 right now. It could be a pawn sacrifice later on, however. We'll have to see. But yes, after something like rook b1, we have knight d3. And if we can get the knight to f4, we'll be threatening checkmate fairly soon. I just have to watch that time on the clock. Make sure I don't run out of time. But yeah, my main strategy is to get the knight to d3, then to f4, and then get a rook takes g2 check, maybe with mate. Who knows? Okay, it's a good move, this one. Ah, okay, I think this loses a pawn for him though, because now I have knight to e4 check, knight takes, pawn takes, threatening the knight, then something like knight d4, then rook takes b2, and he is down a pawn, so I feel like this is the right move. Or I can go, no, let's go knight d3, and then go in for knight d3, yeah, that's a great move. Knight d3, and now it's going to get very hard for him. Knight d3, threatening knight takes b2, but also threatening knight f4, where things are going to get very difficult for white. And I'm even considering at some point something like d4 with a pawn to d4 sacrifice in order to get that white bishop getting into the game, hitting that g2 pawn. But let's first see what happens here. Okay, pawn b3. Now we come in with this dreaded knight f4 attack. So we're actually threatening rook takes g2 checkmate. So he's going to have to play maybe rook to g1. Now there's an interesting combination here. I can play rook takes d2, knight takes d2, then knight e2 check. So I would be +2, sorry, +3, -2, check, +3, and then zeroed out, so it'd actually be an exchange. Okay, now I've got him stuck. I can maybe start to release my other pieces here. So I could do that pawn sacrifice. I could play something like, oh yeah, rook e3 I really like, because we're now threatening knight to e2 check. And we're threatening the c3 pawn. So this is a strong move. Got to remain careful about my time. This is going to be my issue. So I would love it if he played c4, then d4. Even if I'm sacrificing a pawn, would be just fantastic. But obviously knight e2 check is the main tactic here. And now that knight is also pinned, so that could cause him some problems. So we're going to wait for his response. And we're going to see what he plays. So, okay, so once again, this loses a pawn for him. Because I have takes, then knight e2 check, and then takes the pawn. So, maybe this seems the logical response. If I do rook takes c3, then his rook gets right into my camp. I don't want that, so let's just do this exchange. Takes, check, knight takes c3 with a pretty good position. You can play these moves quickly as a combination. If he plays, yeah, this is good for me, I think. Now, if I remove the c3 pawn, then my d4 pawn becomes a passed pawn, which is a very powerful asset, as we know. So now d4 could be on the cards. d4 could be on the cards here. Let's push d4. Now, do I have a way to defend it though? Because d4, knight f3, I don't have a way to defend it, so let's activate the king. Let's get my king into the game. Now, I'm not sure if I'm better or worse off here. Maybe it wasn't quite the right decision. Okay, knight to f3. It's very interesting. Okay, let's go. Let's regenerate the knight. I don't feel like it's in the strongest position. Knight here, knight here. Might be better. h4, knight d6. Play king e7, get king to d6. It's a good position to get my king active now. Okay, oh, now he's starting knight e6. Okay, this is a little bit of a problem, and we're low on time. Okay. He can't do much when he's there, though. When he comes to e6, what can he do? Not a whole lot, really. Okay. That's interesting. Okay, king e5 is a bit of a waste. Bit of a waste of time. So we can go check. Oh man, this is not ideal, I have to say. Let's just push a little bit. Let's push something out there. Okay, king d3. Might just have to end up playing knight e4. I might not have any other option. So my strategy in the endgame has not been great, but I hope that I can resolve this easily. I think I'm making more mistakes because of time as well. So time trouble is an issue. Okay, so my knight's being threatened now. We can go, oh, we can go knight there. It's a little risky. Okay, knight d1, king e2, knight c3 again. Not really an issue. Gains a bit of time. Just buying time right now. d1. This could be a draw. It's a draw. Okay, let's have a look at the analysis of this game. So, let's just see once this loads. Okay, let's look at the game report. Alright, so it was a very interesting game, and it'd be interesting to see what the computer says about what the best moves were in the position, but let's have a look. So overall, no brilliant moves, 18 best moves, 6 excellent moves from myself, 13 good moves, less inaccuracies, less mistakes, and no blunders. So a slightly higher game accuracy. So I'm surprised that he went for the draw, maybe because he was a pawn down, but I was low on time. I think this was the reason. So this is all very standard here. Now, d takes c5 is an inaccuracy from him. Knight takes c5 wasn't the best move. Better was b takes. So the reason it's b takes here, we have a look at the b takes line. B takes b5 and then b4, rook a to b8. So it liked the idea of the open rook on the b file with b takes and keeping the pawn in the center together with the new c pawn. So that's interesting. Let's have a look ahead. Another decision I had to make, which piece to recapture with, and it's saying that d takes here was much better. D takes, knight to f2, and then knight g4. So pushing the pawn further up the board is normally a better idea. D takes, knight into d4, because then the pawn is further closer to promotion. This is more important than anything else. So even if I captured with this pawn, even though he has rook d1, yeah, we can still play on here fairly well. Okay, so yeah, much better to get the pawn up the board, and the rest was standard moves. Rook e3 wasn't the best move. Better was d4. Wow, okay. So the best move was d4, c takes, bishop takes f3, bishop takes f3, knight takes f3, and this drops the a2 pawn. Wow, okay, that's very interesting. So let's see if we can visualize it from this position. So we are sacrificing a pawn, but after this exchange, what happens if We have c takes, bishop takes. If he goes pawn takes, what happens here? Let's have a look. Then this just drops the knight, obviously. Okay, so that was perhaps a missed opportunity for a much nicer position. So d4, sacrificing the pawn, takes, knight takes, pawn takes a2, and he's still going to have this tight defense of the g2 pawn. Okay, let's carry on. b5 was better. Sorry, b5 was an inaccuracy. Better was, what did it say was better? a5. Yes, much better idea. With a5, it's saying king d3, and we can actually play bishop a6 at some point. And I guess also because it gets a nice cramp on these pawns here, and it gives us the freedom to go check at any point we can, and this is a much better diagonal for the bishop. Rather, if you look at the structure with the pawn on b5, our bishop can't get on this diagonal anymore. It's very blocked in. So that's a much better strategy. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.